Alright, T. I'll be showing you how to create a puzzle cube such as this in Onshape. So you want to start with a new parts studio. You will go to the top plane and start with a sketch. From the top plane, you want to have it to where you take a cube, well not a cube, a center point rectangle, and draw out exactly 3 by 3. So when you're using a center point rectangle at the origin, it's going to be centered at the very center of the sketch. So now what I recommend is drawing out your dimensions so they're not cluttered up. Then from here you want to take 2 points, put them on the top edge and the right edge. And then from here you want to take your dimensions and make sure that between the point closest to the left edge is tied to this corner. You want to have a dimension of 1. Repeat that for all the other things, other points. And then from here you can see, since we have a total of 3 long, as this down here, and it's a 1 and a 1, there will be 1 in between. This will make sure that you have it at the correct points. Then from here you want to take a line, and from the top point draw all the way down, making sure it snaps with the yellow lines. Make that 3 long, as you can see, 3 over here. Repeat that for all other dots, or rather points. Make sure the yellow lines snap. And since their yellow lines are together, you can see when you're drawing a line with a yellow, it'll line to the top ones up there. Actually, was that correct? Not quite no. But when you're drawing these with the yellow lines, total of 3, you can go ahead and click these, or hover over these. Oh well, what should happen here is if I delete this constraint, alrighty, but if I edit this might change, alrighty, that's fine. But you want this to be a total of 3, so drag all of these out, make it more clear and visible to see. What's supposed to happen here is there's supposed to be equals between both of these lines, so I'm going to go ahead and delete these dimensions. Well, only delete 1 dimension on each of these lines. So you can see we have 3 and 3. What I recommend doing is taking this right here, next to coincident, you go down to click equals, and you want to click this line, and this line, and then this line, and this line. That way, if you edit the length of one, it will edit the length of both. However, you do not need to edit the lengths of any of them. So now you want to click check mark, and go to the top, front, and right views. So then from here, we want to take a cube, or rather, you will have your own cube that you will have created in 7th hour. You want to take this extrude, and go for each first part. So your first part was an L, or rather an L with a part block up here. If you have an extra block instead of just an L, you have a bit more stuff you have to do for this. However, we're going to start with just the L. Make sure the sketch is still visible. We will go into hidden. Once you finish your first extrude, you want to make it to where it's not hidden. It's shown. So you can see we have the 3 by 3 cube at the bottom of it still. So then if you have this weird L shape with the bump in the crossing of that, you want to go down to this right here and click up. Make sure it has a start and offset of 1, and it's add merge scope with part 1. So now this is our part 1. You can see it has a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different blocks inside part 1. Since this needs to add up to a total of 27 to be a 3 by 3 cube, we will need to have a total of 5 different 6 to 4 block parts. Now for our second type, which my blocks like this, we want to make sure it's a new part and not an adding. But my part is like this, with my start and offset of 1. But you see, mine right here is an add, and it has a merge scope with part 2, because that's what we want. So then we have two parts like this. And since they're not the same, they're not a rotation of each other, this is fine. So we're going to take a second extrude. We're going to go down, and I prefer to have it like this. I'm going to have it, because this is a 6-block part, it's a depth of 1 with a start and offset of 1, and it's a new part. So this is our 6th part. Actually, a better way of doing this, if you want to make it a bit more complex, because so far this would be a bit difficult to create, you would want to remove this block. So now if we have something like this, actually no, I'm going to keep editing this. That was literally just me being picky about my shapes. But now when you have another extrude, since we need to fit a total of 5 parts and we only have a total of 3 so far, as you can see down here, you want to go down and, wait, actually, I made a mistake. See, since we actually have this hole down here, this wouldn't quite work, because this block is covering it, and since this block is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we can go ahead and extrude it a small bit to add on. So I'm going to extrude this bottom square a total of 1, and make it add to merge scope with part 3. So now part 3 extends down here. However, for a new extrude, which is going to be our part 4, we're going to extrude it such as this. We're going to only extrude a single cube with a start and offset of 1, so this fills in that. Make sure it's a new cube, so it doesn't interfere with anything else. We're going to use extrude again, and go ahead, and I'm going to use this type shape with a depth of 1 and a start and offset of 2. We make sure it's on the 3rd layer. And since this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, this is a completely useful part we can use. We want to have it with a merge scope to part 4, which is that single cube. So now this is a total of part 4. Then for the last part of 5, we just want to fill in the rest. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different parts. I'm going to have it with a start and offset of 2. We'll also need to include our last extrude to fill in this gap here. So we're going to extrude that a total of 1. We're going to add to part 5. So now we have our puzzle cube like this. Now to make it be able to animate it, which is just fully my preference, and kind of fun if you want to, this is not required in the assignments at all. You want to click this plus down here, click create assembly, and now we have this new assembly here. You want to click insert, and it shouldn't show all these cubes here. You only want to pick the cube right here, Part Studio 4. So you can see when you click the arrow, it actually shows all the different parts you used. If there's 5 parts here, that's good. Make sure to count all the blocks, make sure it only fits between 6 and 4. Then you just click the entire Part Studio. So now we have this giant cube, which from here, we can animate, if you want to, that is. So what we want to start with is slider mates, or first we need to take all the cubes away. So what I recommend is sliding out the cube in the way that would fit best. So such as this cube could slide out perfectly 3 inches this way. Then from this way, we slide it out 3 inches this way. This can slide up 3 inches. And this one can slide this way, 3. And this one can slide this way, 3. So now you can see it kind of looks weird with all these parts in different areas. However, combined these would make a cube. From here you can also count how many parts each one has, how many cubes each part has. Such as this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is completely fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's fine. Actually, this only has 4. Well, 5, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 2, 6, 2, 5, well, actually 3, 5. Because 6 times 6 plus 6, that becomes 12. And 5 times 3, 15. That becomes a total of 27. So then from here, we want to use mate connectors, or rather slider mates, which would generate mate connectors. However, since this is our part 1 right here, and this is our part 2, we want to connect these. So I will make it that this right here, since this is the only really good line that fits together, I want to make it to where this line right here fits along this line. So this is a bit of a difficulty with here, because our limits is going to be a bit constrained and difficult. However, since we know it's a total of 3 that way, we want to be a total of negative 0.5. So this will slide exactly 0.5 this way. Well, that's my wrong. I've had the numbers flipped. So we want this to be negative 3.5 and a total of 0.5 this way. So now you can see it can only slide 0.5, but it can slide a total of 3 this way. So it will fit together perfectly. As you can see, it slides in like that. So now, since we have our third part right here, which is this blue one, we want to use another slider mate. So we will have it that since this is the only really horizontal line on here, we want to choose this right here and this right here so that it slides in. You want to have it where it has a limit where it can only go down a total of negative 1 and up a total of 2. So now it can slide down a total of 1. Well, my bad again. I keep having my numbers flipped. But it wants to be a total of negative 3 and a total of 0. I believe. Alright, G. So I am actually wrong here. This needs to be a total of 1. So now we can slide in 1. We can also slide out a total of 3. So I'm going to slide this in. Then from here we want to add part 4 and 5. Since this is part 4 right here, we want to slide this in. We will go ahead and have it so that since this part right here lines with this line right here lines up with this, we will have another horizontal slider mate for this one right here and this line right here. Specifically to actually be there. So then we want to add our limits, which will be a total of 0.5 and negative 3.5. Which I hope are correct. Nope. Oh well. Since these are wrong, we want to have it to be a total of negative 0.5, and this will be a total of 3.5. So that way, it can only go a total of this far out. I can slide out a total of 3.5, but it will stick together like this, as you can see. Then with our last part, we have this one right here. We want to use some more slider mates. Finally got the name correct this time. But since you see this slides in with this part right here, I'm going to have it so that this slides into that, and it fits well pretty good. So now we want to go like this. We'll have it be a total of negative 3. Well, actually a total of, yeah, negative 3. Nope. Negative 3 and 0, I believe. So now you can see it slides out this way pretty fine. Dang it, keep getting my numbers wrong. And then from here we can slide it out a total of 3 this way, and slide it in 0. It'll fit together pretty well. actually there's a mistake with mine here. Since when I have this part right here sliding into that, it freely moves this. So if that mistake's happened to you, you will want to delete your slider and use another slider. Now instead of connecting this part, instead of connecting 5 to 4, we want to connect this to 1 or 2. So since this line right here slides along that here, that should fit better. So now we have a total of 0, 3, and 0. So now it shouldn't move that long. Oh well, I got close enough. You might have some problems here, however you can pretty easily fix it with this. You see when sliding it, this one doesn't get pushed around, so you would just need to adjust number 4. However, that's how you create something like this, a puzzle